Don't let the common name fool you. There is no such thing as a tree philodendron. Let's talk about Thaumatophyllum. What's up, fellow plant enthusiasts? My name is Dylan and this is Bane's Botanicals. Today we're going to be talking about Thaumatophyllum. Now, this may be a genus you've never heard of, and for good reason. There's really only, I think, 3 houseplants that are in Thaumatophyllum officially, and these plants used to be classified under Philodendron until I don't actually remember when it happened, but they were moved into Thaumatophyllum, and one of them is this one. This is Thaumatophyllum bipennatophytum, and it was also known as the tree philodendron. And this thing has big leaves, and honestly, the plant's not even that big yet. I mean, here's the plant, and it already has gigantic leaves. Now, I'm sure that you guys have seen this plant in greenhouses, and in some cases, it may have been gigantic. Or if you've seen it in maybe like an arboretum or some sort of like dome at a zoo, they get huge. Now, they don't grow into trees. They get maybe 2 or 3, 4 meters tall, I think, in the wild. In your house, they won't get that big. Okay, now my cat's freaking out. She likes to go into like the living room when it's dark and she'll just start meowing. So hopefully she's not seeing ghosts. Anyway, these will get really wide though. They get very big leaves and they get wide, and they can get like that indoors. They're obviously going to get bigger than that outdoors, but in your house, luckily they won't get too unmanageable. But just be prepared to have some space for this thing once it starts to get big. And they will get big. They've got these big, awesome textured leaves that are very neat looking, that are just ready to just soak up as much light as they can. Now, I haven't really, well, we'll get to the care in a minute. Here is the taxonomy information for Thaumatophyllum, and as you can see, we are in the family Aeraceae. So this is an aeroid. They got that part right. It is an aeroid. So it is a cousin or a sibling or something to Philodendron, but it is not a Philodendron. And of course, just like all aeroids, it's going to have, well, I shouldn't say that. Just like most aeroids, it does make an excellent houseplant, and it is not too difficult to care for. So let's get into some of the care. It does like bright indirect light. I'll be honest, I haven't experimented with putting this in full sun. I mean, obviously you could stick it in a sunny window, but I'm talking about as far as putting it outside, for example, during the summer. I did just obtain this one maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe it's been a month ago from the time I made this video, which is in September. So I didn't really want to put it outside since it's already kind of summer and everything. But I would guess if you acclimate it, you probably could, just because these need, you know, a good amount of light so that they don't get leggy. But yeah, as far as water goes, just water it regularly, just like a tropical houseplant, just like your other aeroids. Let it dry out. And then give it a good soak. And that will probably happen maybe once a week. I mean, depending on your plant, maybe it'll be a little bit longer. If your plant's smaller, it might be shorter than a week. It's important not to try to water your plants all at the same time. And I say this as a hypocrite because I do that sometimes. But depending on what kind of plants you have, you know, my alternanthera needs to be watered probably 2 or 3 times a week, but my cacti might not be watered, but maybe once every week and a half or a couple of weeks. So you just be careful and kind of know what you have. I do have it in a terracotta pot. This could be a candidate for, you know, plastic or ceramic. I know some of you guys don't like that I use terracotta so much, but I'm just so scared of root rot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind watering a little bit more just so that I know my plant is safe. But I think that aeroids, honestly, aeroids do good in terracotta because they like to dry out, right? I mean, they like to get that good soak in, but they don't want to be sitting in water. They don't want their soil to be consistently moist like a fern or a prayer plant. But yeah. The soil is just a regular houseplant soil. If you wanted to add a little bit of extra drainage, maybe you could crumble up some orchid bark in there as well. The houseplant soil that I use actually has some lava rock in it for the drainage, so I didn't have to doctor this like I do sometimes. And it appreciates humidity. If you could do it, especially in the wintertime, if you wanted to put it on a pebble tray, that would be good. Or if you have some humidifiers, I always run humidifiers in the wintertime just because I know my house dries out. It's just what happens. Central heat dries out the air, unfortunately. That's actually not good for your lungs either. Like, even humidifiers are good for people during the wintertime just as much as they're good for plants. So to keep that in mind. What else? Did we get everything? No, fertilizer. Fertilize it regularly. I just use a regular houseplant fertilizer, whatever you prefer to use on your tropicals. I do it every couple of weeks during the growing season, and then not at all during the dormant season, which is late fall, winter, early spring, when most houseplants tend to slow down their growth, so they're not using all of those nutrients. They're not, they don't need to grow, so they don't need the nutrients. But yeah, Thaumatophyllum is a pretty cool genus, to be honest with you. Like, I love the way they grow. I like that they get big. The other one that you may see a lot, there is one called Philodendron Xanadu, which would actually be Thaumatophyllum Xanadu. Also, Thaumatophyllum is just kind of fun to say. Anyway, I wouldn't mind getting a Xanadu. It actually has kind of narrower leaves, and it's escaping me now. The margins are like more rounded. They're more lobed. So it kind of gives the plant a completely different look, but it does have the same kind of bushy growth habit. I keep hitting my ring on this, I'm sorry. But yeah, I think that's all I have about Thaumatophyllum. Go get one. If you've got room for it, go get one. I mean, these will get big. Xanadu doesn't get as big. I think there's also one called Hope, but for some reason I thought Hope and Xanadu were the same, but they're just like different varieties. Somebody correct me on that if I'm wrong. Anyway, let me know what your experience is with Thaumatophyllum. Like I said, they're really cool plants. Go pick one up. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for your likes and for your subscribes and for watching this video and for catching me on my live streams. I love that. Like, I have to really limit myself sometimes on my live streams because I'm like, oh, I could sit here and talk for like another hour or two, but I know that, but anyway, thank you so much. It means the world to me. And thank you for making this channel like a little plant family. That means a lot. So until the next video, I will see you guys very soon. Thank you.